Okay, so instead of shadows as a way to think about what higher dimensions looks like, I'm gonna talk about slices. Okay, and it's easy to do this with 3 dimensions and 2 dimensions.
Yeah.
And then maybe we can try to guess what it might look like with 4 dimensions. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
So here we have our 2-dimensional world now, and blob looking over here.
Yep.
And 3D blob.
Yep.
La 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 la. What should we call this instead of blob? What's a better name?
Sphere. S.
S.
Or sphere.
Sphere. Okay. Comes to visit 2D land. So it might cast a shadow, which is what's happening right now, right?
Yeah.
You see
Yeah.
that
So
shadow?
Blob could see the shadow.
Yeah, but what happens when instead of the shadows, let's talk about slices now.
I can.
So what happens when it first just touches 2D world?
It can see just the tiny bottom slice.
Okay, and what is that slice going to be?
It's just 1 point.
It's just 1 point. So all of a sudden blob is just looking around, and all of a sudden a point just appears.
And
And let's just say the sphere just passes through very nicely. Just la la la, passes
So you
through.
can see more. You can
Okay,
see.
so what happens next is he goes down a little bit more.
He sees more points.
Like, well, what's the slice look like?
well, the points get bigger and bigger until you get to the middle.
The number of points get bigger and bigger.
Well, the number of points get bigger, but what shape is it?
It's a circle.
It's a circle.
It's a circle.
The bird
So as blob comes, as the 3D sphere comes in a little bit more, it's a circle.
Yeah.
And blob might be able to recognize that and say, hey, wait a minute, that was just a point a second ago, now it's a circle. And what happens as the circle descends a little bit
It
further?
gets a little larger.
It gets a little bit larger,
And
And
then
then
larger.
Larger.
and
Until
then
it
larger.
hits the center, and then it gets smaller and smaller again.
And then right before it goes away, what is it?
A point.
Just a point, and then
It's gone.
poof, gone. So as this sphere goes through, blob sees a point appear out of nowhere,
Yep.
turn into a small circle that gets larger and larger and larger, and then shrinks back down to a point, and then
Poof.
nothing. So that's what the 2-dimensional world blob sees as a sphere, a 3D sphere, passes through its world.
That's what Sphere would see if a 4D blob passed through his world.
Okay. So now, right, in the 3D world, so the 3D blob, the sphere here.
Yeah.
Now let's say a 4D sphere decided to do the same thing to us. So it's not casting a shadow, it's actually passing through our world.
It would have like a really small sphere.
Right, so we would see, well, actually, what would we see first?
A point
A point, just a point.
in midair.
Just right there, right out of the blue, just poof, right in the air. Hopefully it wouldn't, because this blob could appear right in the middle of the blob, right?
Yeah.
Right, so hopefully it wouldn't be in the middle of us. Ah! Okay, so it appears in the middle of the air,
And then there's another sphere. Then it turns into a small sphere,
slowly expands,
and then goes back to a point, and then
contracts,
disappears.
and then disappears.
Cool.
So that would be strange to see, right?
Yeah.
But that's what a 4-dimensional sphere passing through 3 dimensions would look like.
Whoa.
That's pretty neat, right?
Yeah.
And at one point in time, it might just look exactly like this ball, right?
Yeah.
And you see that ball? Casts a shadow. Just like we thought it would.
Cool.
Cool.
Alright. Alright, good job guys. That was a very interesting question from dinner last night. And that's fun to talk about.